Hello. In this video we're going to continue working on our JSPM Angular project. We're going to install Gulp and configure it with Browsersync and Nodemon. Okay, so if you don't have the code from the previous video, then you can download it from GitHub. If you go to github.com/bjanderson/jspm-angular-core, you can pull the repo from there and have the code from the last video. So we'll do that for this project. We'll just do git clone and the GitHub repo, and that will create a directory called JSPM Angular Core, and we will cd into that, and then we'll be on the master branch. And to get the code from the last video, we want to go to the setup branch. So we'll do git checkout setup, and to make changes to this code we want to create a new branch. So we'll do git checkout -b, and we'll call this gulp setup. And now we want to install the npm and JSPM dependencies from the old project, so we're going to do npm start, and that's just going to run npm install and JSPM install for us. Okay, with those installed, now we can install our Gulp and its dependencies. So we'll do npm install save dev Gulp Nodemon Browsersync and wrench. Also, if you haven't done so already, you can run npm install -g gulp and install it globally so that it'll be available in your command line. Okay, so now we're ready to start setting up the code. So we will open Sublime Text using subl. Okay, so we have our JSPM Angular project. It's already set up for us, and we're going to add a new folder called Gulp Tasks, and we're going to add a new file named gulpfile.js. In this video, rather than asking you to watch me type code in, I'm going to go ahead and type it out, and then we will just look at it and see how it works. Okay, this is our Gulp file. So we're going to require Gulp and wrench, and then we're going to configure wrench to read all the files in our Gulp tasks directory, and it's going to filter out files so that it's looking for any files that end in .js, and it's case insensitive. It's going to take all of our .js files and map them to our require function. So just like we are requiring Gulp up here, we're going to require those files from our Gulp tasks directory. That will include all of our Gulp tasks into our Gulp file and make them available to be run. And then we're going to set up our default Gulp task and point it to run the serve task. Next, we will add a new file to our Gulp tasks folder, and we'll call it serve.js. And here's what our serve.js file looks like. So up here we're getting an instance of Browsersync. We're going to require it and then run create to get an instance. We're going to require Gulp and Nodemon, and then we're going to just get a shortcut to the Browsersync reload function, and we're just going to call that reload. Now we're creating our serve task, which is pointed to by our default Gulp task, and the serve task is going to call Browsersync. The Browsersync task is going to call Nodemon, and Nodemon is set up so that you can add other tasks if you want to have dependencies in here later. Nodemon is going to start our server app.js script for us, so it'll launch our server from here, and it's going to watch all of the files in the server folder so that it'll restart itself automatically if any of those change. Now the first time through, when it starts, it's going to trigger the done function, but we only want it to do that once so that it doesn't try to make Browsersync create itself multiple times. So we have a flag here called running. So if our server is running, then we don't do anything. If it's not running, then we call done, and that triggers browser sync. And then when Nodemon restarts, we want to give a little bit of a delay, allow the server to restart, and then we want to tell Browsersync to reload the page. Okay, once Nodemon is done, then it comes into Browsersync, and Browsersync is going to initialize itself. It's going to proxy our server. So our server is going to be running on port 20,080, and that's from our app.js file. And it's going to launch in Google Chrome, and Browsersync is going to open the page using port 10,080. So it's going to listen on port 20,080, but when you see the URL on the page, it's actually going to be pointing to 10,080. And then once Browsersync starts, then we will come back to our serve function and we'll run these gulp watch tasks. And all we're going to do is watch for any changes on our client JavaScript, on our client, or on any CSS files, and on any tpl.html files. And whenever any of those change, we're just going to tell Browsersync to reload. Okay, now we can try and run this. So we'll go back to our terminal. We will just type gulp. And that will open Google Chrome for us and point us to localhost port 10,080. And you can see that our home page is showing there. Now we're going to go to our modules, home, and we're just going to test out the reloading. So let's minify that. And there we go. So if we change CSS, we should see the page reload with our new CSS. And it does. We can change it back and it'll reload. If we go to home TPL, we should see that change, and it does. And if we go to home controller, we should see that change, and it does. So that's it. It's very simple. That's gulp, and you have browser reloading and server reloading with Browsersync and Nodemon. And one final test, we can change this in app.js, and we'll watch it change here in the terminal. So if we change app.js, we should see Nodemon restart. And it does, and it reloads the page. Okay, thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe, and feel free to leave any comments below.